I woke up to the sound of coughing, but it wasn't coming from my apartment. It came from the hallway, rough and wet, like someone was trying to spit out their own lungs. My name's Mark, 31, tech support by day, aspiring musician by night, and a champion procrastinator all the time. I live alone, 3rd floor, building G, Edgewater Apartments, Philly. Usually, it's the neighbors' late-night arguments or the pipes clanging that get on my nerves, but this morning the coughing was worse than any argument. It just wouldn't stop. I didn't think much of it, not at first. I made my usual cup of gas station coffee, burnt my toast because my toaster hates me, and scrolled TikTok while ignoring the work emails piling up. Same old stuff. Only something was off. The building felt quieter, but not in a peaceful way. It was the kind of quiet that makes you nervous, like the world is holding its breath. My cat Oscar kept staring at the front door, tail flicking like he wanted to bolt. I remember thinking he was just being weird. Turns out, he wasn't. When I left for work, I noticed a military van parked across the street. Not just a Jeep, an actual camo van, 2 soldiers sitting inside, eyes hidden behind sunglasses. They looked bored, but their hands were never far from their weapons. That's not normal for my neighborhood. I tried not to stare. It's Philly. Weird stuff happens, but usually not like this. And then, by the dumpsters, I saw a streak of red, blood, smeared across the cement. It looked fresh. I almost convinced myself it was from a raccoon or a stray dog. But I'd never seen that much blood outside of a crime show. I tried to shake it off, but it stuck with me. In the elevator, Mrs. Peterson from 4C was muttering to herself, hands clutching a wrinkled grocery bag, skin ashy and eyes darting to every shadow. She didn't say hi. She always says hi. And there was a smell, too. Not just garbage, something sour like rot. I texted my friend Gabe about it, told him the whole building felt creepy as hell. He sent back a meme of a cat with a tinfoil hat and said, "Bro, it's allergies, chill." I wanted to believe him, but the unease stayed. Even at work, it followed me. People were coughing everywhere. I spent half my morning on hold with clients, the other half listening to my coworkers hack up their lungs. HR sent out an email saying there was a bug going around, but that we should remain calm. I joked about it, said it was the new Philly plague, but then Jenny from accounting fainted in the hallway. She hit the floor hard, and when she got up, she looked at us like she didn't recognize anybody. That's when things started feeling real. My phone started acting up just before lunch. Texts stopped sending. Instagram wouldn't load. I tried calling Gabe, no signal. I called my mom, but it went straight to voicemail. The Wi-Fi was garbage, even worse than usual. But the worst part was the news. First, every station said something different. One headline said, "Flu outbreak hits East Coast." Another said, "No cause for alarm." But on Twitter, people were posting videos of riots in Jersey and weird attacks in New York. I thought it was fake at first, but then the videos started showing up everywhere. Bloody, shaky, people running from things you couldn't see clearly. One guy's live stream cut off in the middle of screaming. At that point, I started to panic. Gabe wasn't answering. My mom wasn't answering. The group chat for my D&D game went dead silent. I sat there, phone in hand, refreshing, waiting for something normal to break through the noise. But there was just static, confusion, and that feeling that something was crawling under my skin. By 2 p.m., half the office had gone home sick. My boss said we could leave early. I practically sprinted out of there. I couldn't explain it, but I felt like I was being watched the whole way home. Philly traffic was insane. Horns, sirens, people yelling. It looked like a movie scene. I kept thinking about that blood by the dumpster, the soldiers, the coughing. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely unlock my apartment door. Oscar met me at the door, yowling like crazy. He'd clawed at the carpet, trying to get out. I picked him up, pressed him close, told him we were fine. But when I glanced out the window, I saw more military vehicles, more soldiers. My phone buzzed once. An emergency alert. Just a test, it said. But the words "shelter in place" flashed across the screen. That's when I knew. I locked every window. I shoved a chair under the doorknob. I filled the bathtub with water, just like those weird prepping blogs said to do. I felt stupid, paranoid, but I did it anyway. I texted Gabe one more time. "Dude, you okay? This is getting bad." No answer. I called my mom again. Nothing. Oscar curled up next to me on the couch, purring so hard his whole body vibrated. I held him, watched the sun set, listened to sirens wailing in the distance. The world outside was changing, and I felt it in my bones. I wanted to believe things would go back to normal in the morning, but deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. The first thing I heard when I woke up was Oscar hissing, all his fur puffed up, staring at the front door like something was about to break through. The sun wasn't even up yet, but I'd barely slept, too busy checking my phone for messages that never came and listening to the sirens that never seemed to stop. The air in my apartment felt heavy and stale. I kept thinking about that emergency alert. Shelter in place. It replayed in my head like a warning I couldn't ignore. I tiptoed to the peephole, not even breathing, and looked out. The hallway was dark, the emergency lights flickering. I heard footsteps, slow and shuffling, and someone moaning, but not like a person who's sick, more like someone dreaming with their eyes open. The elevator dinged. A man stumbled out, Mr. Boyd from 2B. He was dragging his left foot, and there was blood dripping from his chin. He stared straight ahead, eyes wide and empty, like he was looking through the walls. I pressed my back to the door and tried to steady my breathing. Oscar yowled, and I almost dropped him. I grabbed my phone. No bars. I tried Wi-Fi. Nothing. I turned on the TV. Static. I wanted to scream. Instead, I started making a list of what I had. 3 cans of soup, half a loaf of bread, 1 roll of toilet paper, and a box of cat food. Not exactly the haul of a survivalist. I shoved a dresser in front of the door, grabbed a kitchen knife, and sat on the floor next to Oscar, waiting, praying. The sun came up, but the light didn't make anything better. It just made everything look more real. Around noon, I heard banging on the fire escape. Someone was outside my window, climbing. I looked through the blinds and almost threw up. Gabe was out there. He was covered in scratches, shirt torn, face pale and wild. He pounded on the glass, whisper shouting, "Mark, let me in, man, please." I fumbled with the lock, yanked open the window, and dragged him in. He collapsed on the floor, gasping. "They're everywhere," he kept saying, "they're everywhere." He wouldn't say who they were, just kept repeating it, rocking back and forth. His hands were shaking so bad he couldn't hold the water I gave him. "It's not just here," he finally whispered. "It's the whole city. I saw people biting each other, eating each other. The cops started shooting them. They just stopped." We sat in silence, the only sound Oscar's nervous meowing. I tried to text my mom again, but my phone was still dead. Gabe tried his. Nothing. I felt trapped in a nightmare. Then, from the hallway, I heard it. Someone screaming, begging for help. Gabe and I froze. Then fists pounded on our door over and over. I gripped the kitchen knife, my hands shaking. The pounding kept coming, louder, desperate. Then it stopped. We waited. 10 seconds. 20. Finally, we heard slow, dragging footsteps moving away. Gabe started crying, just quietly, head in his hands. I wanted to tell him it would be okay, but I didn't believe it. I thought about my mom, about Mrs. Peterson upstairs, about every friend who'd stopped answering. I realized, sitting there, that this was it. The world I knew was gone. I couldn't just sit and hope someone would save us. I had to do something. I had to survive. I blocked every entrance, checked the windows again, and told Gabe to rest. He curled up on the couch, hugging a pillow, eyes staring at nothing. I tried the radio, flipping through static until, finally, a voice broke through, crackly and scared. "Stay inside. Do not let anyone in. Lock your doors. They are not human anymore. Avoid the infected. Wait for rescue." The voice cut out in a burst of static. My hands went numb. The screaming started again, this time from outside. I peeked through the blinds. Down on the street, a crowd was moving, stumbling, shoving each other. Some ran, some crawled. People were fighting in broad daylight. Blood splattered on the pavement. The soldiers from yesterday? Gone. Just abandoned Humvees and empty streets. Someone banged on a car window until the glass shattered. I pulled back from the window and slid to the floor, heart pounding. Gabe stared at me, hollow-eyed. "Do you believe me now?" he said, voice almost a whisper. I nodded. There was nothing left to say. We weren't safe. Not anymore. Not anywhere. I didn't eat that day. I just sat on the floor with Gabe and Oscar, listening to the chaos outside. When it got quiet, it felt worse, like the world was holding its breath, and we were just waiting to see if we'd be the next ones. Gabe kept checking his phone, staring at the blank screen, like he could will a message from his parents or his girlfriend to come through. I wanted to talk, but I didn't know what to say. The only time I got up was to push a heavy chair in front of the door. I'd never been that scared in my life. At some point, Gabe told me he'd seen his neighbor, Mrs. Norris, get dragged out of her apartment by a guy with half his face missing. I knew her for years, man. She baked me cookies. He was biting her, like actually eating. He stopped talking after that, staring at the floor. I tried to distract us by filling the sink and every bowl in the kitchen with water. I knew the tap could stop working any minute, and it made me feel like I was doing something, anything to fight back. When it got dark again, I lit a few candles, just enough to see by. The power was still on, but the street lights outside were flickering, and every time one went out, my heart jumped. Oscar sat on my lap, vibrating with nervous purrs. We barely spoke. I heard more footsteps in the hall, slow and dragging, the shuffle of feet that made my skin crawl. Every once in a while, something would bang against a door down the hall, and we'd freeze. Around midnight, we heard voices. Real voices, scared and human. Somebody was trying doors, yelling for help, banging and screaming. I thought about opening up just for a second, but then I heard the sound. Something wet, something breaking, and the voices turned to screams, then gurgling, then nothing. Gabe looked at me, eyes shining with tears. "We can't help them, can we?" I shook my head. If I opened that door, we were dead. I tried calling 911, even though I knew it was pointless. The call never connected. I checked Twitter, just random videos, no real news, just chaos. More cities were falling, people filming from rooftops, helicopters in flames, bodies in the streets. I saw a post from someone in my neighborhood. "Don't trust anyone, not even the ones you love. They change. Fast." I didn't want to believe it, but I'd seen the look in Jenny's eyes yesterday when she got up off the floor. Aide whispered, "I think we should leave. This building. If something happens, we'll be trapped." I wanted to argue, but he was right. I made a list of what we'd need. Food, water, Oscar's carrier, a knife, anything we could carry. I taped a blanket over the window so the flicker of candlelight wouldn't give us away. I tried to sleep for an hour, but every noise kept me up. The groans, the shuffle of feet, the muffled sounds of the world falling apart. I wondered if my mom was okay. I wondered if I'd ever see her again. I held Oscar close and promised him I'd keep him safe, even though I wasn't sure I believed it myself. Just before dawn, I heard someone unlock the door across the hall. The handle turned, hinges creaked, and then a horrible animal scream. I covered Oscar's ears, squeezed my eyes shut, and prayed it would stop. After a minute, everything went silent again. I realized then how thin the walls really were, how close death was. It was the first night of the zombie invasion and there was no going back.